All right, guys, we're back with another session of safety teams on holy ground. This time it's about member info. This is going to be some basic information you want to get from your members just in case of an emergency. Um, Even though there's going to be some members, you grew up in the church with whatever, you know each other well, you still want to get this information from them just in case, say, um, a couple of the members aren't there, and then the one that is there has an episode of something. Maybe they have a seizure, they have congestive heart failure, stuff like that. So we want to get some information from all of our members, and every time you have a new member come in, you need to get that information from them. All right, so you're gonna want to send out a member questionnaire. And then you're just going to basically at the top, you're going to say, hey, please fill out this simple questionnaire for our records in case of emergency. And just, you can elaborate if you would like, or you don't have to. And you can just state that, if there is an emergency, we need to know who to contact and what we need to do. So, of course, you want their name, their phone number. You want to get an emergency contacted number. And I would honestly suggest it not be the husband or wife that goes to the same congregation. If the husband's there, the wife's at home, okay, you need to contact her. But if they're both there, you may need to contact somebody else as well. If something happens to both of them, or the husband starts having a heart attack or something, and if they start having a heart attack, and the wife's on the way with the husband to the hospital, maybe they need to contact their children and stuff. So that's things you need to know. And then you need that contact information. You don't need to be fumbling around. You go back to their file. You can pull it out. You can pull it up, and there it is. And their address, of course, their spouse, their kids, and all that information as well. How old are their kids? Where are they at school? Just simple information you want to get off of them. And then you want to get a little detail from them, and just say something to the point of, is there any medical issues that our safety team needs to be aware of, just in case you have an episode at the building? And then just let them know that you want to be able to care for them as quickly as possible in the right manner. So, if they're diabetic and they come in one day smelling like they've been drinking all night, you know that they need some glucose. And that's also where your medical team would come in and say, oh, okay, this guy's probably diabetic. But if you can already go get the glucose, you take care of it. If you don't know he's a diabetic, then you got to get more information from them, and it might take a little bit longer. Do they have congestive heart failure? Are they having chest pains? If you have, somebody that's EMT or higher, they can give them nitroglycerin, or help them take their nitroglycerin up to 3 before the ambulance gets there. That's things you need to know. Are they prone to seizures? Do they take seizure medicine? Do they have grand mal? Do they have walking seizures? What kind of seizures do they have? That's things you need to know. Do they just have vertigo? Maybe if they stand up, sometimes they get lightheaded. That would be nice to know. They get lightheaded and you see them about to faint, and you go over there, but if you know they have vertigo, you might get back off a little bit and say, hey, are you okay? Yeah, it's just a little episode of vertigo. I have it all the time. No big deal. But if they don't have vertigo and that happens, you might need to get them checked out. Do you have nitro pills? You need to know what kind of medicines they have on them, do they carry glucose? Do they carry EpiPens? Do they carry nitro pills? What all do they carry as far as medical is concerned? And this will just help you out. You'll be able to know what's going on with your members, and you'll be able to know how to care for them quicker. And it's just good information to have. And then as far as the medical side is concerned, you can give it to your medical people, and they can try to keep a little better track of that. And then I also suggest, and most people do this in churches, but I suggest have like a buddy system, to where you have people get to know people and get to know their ailments and get to know their stuff. So if something does start happening, they can say, oh yeah, they have congestive heart failure, they need their nitro pills, or oh yeah, they're having an anaphylactic shock, there's an EpiPen in their pocketbook, or something to that effect. And that way they can also tell your medics, say, hey, this is what's going on, or no, he just has vertigo, let him sit there, he'll be okay. And that way it's a little easier for you guys. Makes your job a bit easier. All right, this is a question that nobody likes to answer, but you need them to answer it. One of the things you kind of want to, especially certain people's background, you want to know it. So you ask them to the point of something to the point of, we would also like to know if there's any personal issues that may spring up while you're at the building that our safety team needs to be aware of. Do you have a toxic ex-husband or wife? Do you have a stalker? Do you have anything job related? I used to do collections for a loan place, and I can't tell you how many times I got threatened. And I mean, threatened to hunt me down and kill me and all this stuff. So that would be something that you need to know. Say, hey, what kind of job you do? Okay, we need to keep our eye out for that. Um, Also, you need to know their background. We had a gentleman that come to us. He was a drug addict. Um, he come in. The elders sat down and talked to him, and we got all the information out of him. He'd been in and out of jail multiple times. He's on and off of drugs. That's something you need to know, because there's a few times he come to church and he was high. He was on drugs, so we literally got him out of the sanctuary. We took him to the back, started getting him some water, started getting him some coffee, and kept our eye on him and stuff like that. Got the medic team on him, checking his pulse and all that stuff. Um, and then there was a time the same guy he ended up going to a birthday party of one of his sons, and he got arrested for. There was a big argument broke out, and all this stuff happened. But in the end, he ended up getting arrested for attempted murder against a police officer. That's things you need to know. You need to know those kind of backgrounds to people. Most people aren't going to have that background, and you can kind of gauge them. Most of them you can gauge. But then when they start acting a little funny or whatever, you need to ask them. Say, hey man, are you on drugs? We need to know this. This is things we need to know so we can keep our church safe and secure. Um, don't overlook that. Just because they've become a member, you've got somebody that's come in off the street. You've converted them. Uh, they're a Christian now. Just because they're a Christian doesn't mean they won't relapse and fall back into that way. And that's things you need to know is their previous life. What was their previous life? And that way you can keep check on them. And those are the types of people also that you need to keep close to. Keep your security guys near them. And they don't have to watch them the entire time, but if something starts happening, they start sweating profusely. You got the glazed eyes, you got all kind of other signs and symptoms of them being on the drug. And you would also need to find out what type of drug they're doing. So you can figure out this, you can look at the signs and symptoms that drug has. And then you can better assess, yep, they just had that. And then you can take care of what needs to be taken care of. You may need to get them out of there. You may need to get them, some water, some coffee, whatever you need to do, depending on the drug it is. So this is just things that you need to consider for your church, your safety team. Questions for your medical team. For every single member, I don't care how long they've been there, send it out to everybody, get everybody to fill it out, make files of everybody. And when one leaves, you'll still have that file. And if they ever visit again, an episode happens when they're visiting, you'll have that and you can pull it up. This is just things to think about, guys. All right, this is Spencer Defense Training. Stay safe, stay armed.
Please like, subscribe, and comment on this video below. Thanks.